Hey everybody, welcome to the second episode of my new podcast, Bro Man with an Opinion. It is December 9th, close to 10 after 10. So what I just wanted to do was just sort of come back on here and just sort of do a follow-up to the previous episode, which was talking about, obviously Juan Soto signing with the Mets. And, a little more information's coming out about it. Looking online, seeing the mixed reactions, seeing the Yankee fans say, "Yeah, screw this guy," let him be the Mets problem, all that kind of stuff. Which I said the same thing. Now he could be the Mets problem. Let's see if he's going to be, their A Rod or even Matt Harvey. If you remember, and that was a sad story too with Matt Harvey. I can, when I was like in high school and everybody, I would hear all, the media is horrible, all that kind of stuff. I really didn't pay attention because I'm really not a conspiracy person. Not to say that was a conspiracy, but, I'm just like, okay, whatever. But as I've gotten older, I've come to understand, yeah, how the media can be a little fucked up. And, I think it's Matt Harvey had definitely his part in his own demise, but the media, definitely helped that situation along. And when I say will Soto be the Matt Harvey, meaning, now that he has his money, will he continue to try hard? Will he let this newfound fame, because this is taking him to, greater heights of being on the Yankees, will it go to his head? Will he have an attitude problem? Is he going to clash with people? What's going to happen? Or is he going to stay the same, Juan Soto? Time will tell of what's going to happen. But like I said, more information is coming out, and we're seeing where other teams, kind of came into play. We saw that the Red Sox had offered him 15 years, 700 million. I didn't see the years that the Dodgers offered him, but the Dodgers offered him 600 million, which was very, shocking. I really thought the Dodgers, for me, the top three teams was going to be Yankees, Mets, and Dodgers, and I really thought the Dodgers were going to somewhat come close, to what they gave Otani. But then, I thought about it more. It's like, well, don't forget they deferred a lot of that money. And that was something that Soto was not interested in. Soto was dead set on having that 51 million annual salary. And, reading the articles, it even seemed like Cohen thought that he wasn't going to get Soto and that he decided to do a last minute meeting with him, and whatever they talked about, that's how he grabbed him, because the Yankees gave him 760, 16 years, which would have brought his salary to about 47, 48 million. But he was dead set on having that 51 million dollar annual salary. And some are going to say, well, like, what's the big deal? But if you have your mind set on a certain number, nothing's going to change that for you. It's like, for us regular folks, if we're going in for a job interview and, we want that salary to be 175,000 a year, and they're trying to give you 170, 168, you're like, no, I want 175. You're going to, you in your mind, you're going to be like, no, this is what I'm going to get. I want 175. This is what I'm walking out with. And, when you tell your family and your friends and be like, well, they offered me 170, the closest they came was 172. They might say, well, then why'd you budge for it's $3,000. You'll make that up within, the year end increase. But again, if you have your mind set on something, and I don't fault Soto for getting his money, this is what the market said he was worth. This is what he's got. This is what he got. And yes, a lot of us are going to think it's ridiculous. But again, this is not going to be a common occurrence because this is not sustainable. We're not going to get the next 26-year-old sensation and he's going to get, $805, $850 million. And I wouldn't be surprised if MLB is somehow going to try to, quail this a little bit because, you have one person making the combined salary of five or six teams, certainly a salary more than the payroll of one team, but collectively, this is not something that's sustainable. So, we're not going to see this number again next year for somebody else. I mean, hell, I don't think we're going to see this number again, for years to come for a new player. Because he has the option to opt out after 5 years, which, if he has a great first 5 years, yeah, his thing could go up to 800 something million dollars probably. But again, for us to see another player get a 800 or 700 something $1 million contract while he is still currently playing that contract. I just don't see something like that happening. But what I think tipped the scales for Juan Soto, which I'm not hearing this sort of, and maybe I don't listen to every sports show, so maybe it was mentioned, but I have my own theory on what pushed it over besides the extra five. Now I just got finished reading an article in the New York Post, and they were saying, well, part of the perk was that Cohen gave him a suite, and that the Yankees weren't willing to do that because apparently Derek Jeter and Aaron Judge had to pay for their suite, but they were willing to give him a discount, but they wouldn't give it for free. For me, and I said I could be wrong, but for me, is a suite gonna make or break somebody coming? I don't think so. We all know that Steve Cohen is the wealthiest baseball owner out there right now. He's a hedge fund, Wall Street guy. He has endless money. We know this. Deep, deep pockets that now surpasses that of the Yankees, clearly the Dodgers, surpasses a lot of owners. And now, if a hot player comes and Uncle Stevie wants them, you're going to have to contend with them. And what I said in my last video was the luster of the Yankees is gone. It's not about the rich history anymore. It's a lot of these teams now have money. Again, I know Cohen now is at the top of that. I get that. But, before there was only a handful of teams who could spend money. It was Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, the Braves to a certain extent. The Rangers recently have started to kind of, get in there. And, what really opened the door, obviously, was the expansion of TV rights. So a lot more people have money now. But back in the day, it wasn't like that. And that's why everybody hated Steinbrenner, was because he was paying to he was luring them in with the money. But also, the Yankees had that rich history and they were winning. The Yankees haven't won. So if the Yankees, let's say after 2009, let's say the Yankees went to the World Series in 2013 and lost. Let's say they made it back to the playoffs in 2014 and lost. They had a bad 2015, went to the World Series in 2016 and won. Let's say they go to the World Series in 2017 and lose. They go to the World Series 2018 and 2019, and they win 2019 and win in 2021. Even though they haven't done their consecutive winning, the fact that they were going multiple times and managed to win 3 times out of that, that lore, that luster is still there. Yeah, I mean, okay, we're not winning 3 in a row back in the day, but hey, we're still getting to the World Series, and we're still winning championships. But that's not what has happened. There's been a drought. This is the first World Series the Yankees have even been at since 2000. They haven't sniffed the World Series until this past October. And it's an open field. Now, if you want a good chance of going to the World Series, it's you go to the Astros, you go to the Dodgers. I'll even throw the Braves in there. If you want a good chance to go to the playoffs, yeah, Yankees. But to go to the World Series and to actually win, it's not the Yankees. And I think that is the part that really hurts them. And I think if it was different, I think Soto, despite the fact he was looking for the money, I think he would have been like, yeah, I do want to stay here, but if they give me the money, I'll stay here. But right off the bat, Soto said, I'm going to listen to all 30 teams, knowing that not all 30 teams had the capability. I mean, look at the Rays. The Rays never pay anybody. Astros could only really pay one person. But I think if that prestige was still there for the Yankees, I think it would have made a difference, and they could have sold that to him. And it's hard to sell that as a selling point now when you have not won since 2009. And you sort of just had an embarrassing way of how you lost now. I mean, come on. listen, the experts might say the Yankees were somewhat competitive. They were not competitive in that World Series at all. They got lucky with the two games that they won, but but and this is what the Yankees need to use as motivation now. That we need to get that prestige back because right now money is trumping the lore and the prestige and the rich history of the Yankees. And what Cohen, I think, was able to project over that was, the Mets history, yeah, may not be as rich as the Yankees, but Cohen was able to. If this is what happened, this is what I think was said, but obviously it's not going to be publicized. But I think that Cohen said at the last minute, listen, not only can I make you a multi-millionaire where your grandkids will be set for life, not only can I use my resources to make you, the biggest baseball player ever. When people think of baseball, they're not going to think of Mantle. They're not going to think of Jeter. They're not going to think of Cal Ripken. They're not going to think, they're not going to think of, Piazza. They're not going to think of all these legendary players. Bonds and all that stuff. You know what they're going to do? They're going to think of Juan Soto, the man who had the richest contract. I could do that. I could put you in upper echelon. And also what I could do is what the Yankees and no other baseball team can do. I can make you a billionaire. Because Cohen wants to build a mini Hudson Yards across the street from Citi Field. Now, some of you may or may not know that this past summer, he's already meeting resistance against this because some of the buildings that need to be torn down, one of them is occupied by a garage, an auto body shop. And that owner already said he ain't going anywhere because he's already been approached and he said he ain't going. Plus, you already have some city council members saying this ain't happening because he wants to build residential there, he wants to build a hotel. And what the big sticking point is, he wants to put a casino there. So if you're trying to woo this player and you're giving him all this money, you're thinking that out of that 765, that Soto can't take $200 million and go into that casino or go into that development with Cohen and then have that pay dividends out later? Hell, he may even said to him, you know what, and on top of that, at the end of your contract, when you're done being a player and you're ready to hang it up, and I guess, obviously they still have a good relationship at the end of 15 years, he might say, hey, I'll make you a minority owner in the team. I'll sell you 2%, 3% of the team, and then you'll still have some income coming in, and then your grandkids will be set for life. Now, this is just in my mind what was said to kind of help put things over the top. Even if it wasn't, somewhere, somebody floated that idea. Whether it was Scott Boras put that bug in his ear, whether, it was broadly approached, but that is something that no team can offer Soto. And Soto was motivated more by money. And maybe also on Soto's part, this was something I was discussing with my sister a few hours ago. Maybe Soto wants to go someplace where he is the face of the team, which so much reminded me of what happened with Robinson Cano and the Yankees. The Yankees made an offer to Cano. I don't think it was a 10-year deal. I think it was like 8 years, $170-something million, if I remember correctly. And remember, he came back and said he felt insulted by that. And then he got the 10-year deal with the Mariners. But a big chunk of that was he wanted to be the star. He wanted to be the face of the Yankees. And that was never going to happen because Jeter was still there. Mariano was still there, and then you had Judge coming up. Obviously, when Jeter and Penn and everybody started, slowly retiring, you had Judge waiting in the wings. So Cano was never going to be the star because then, when the old guard was leaving, it became about the baby bombers. At the time, Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, um, Greg Byrne, which that came out to nothing. It was about the baby bomber. So Cano was never going to get that opportunity. Now, I was having this discussion with my sister a few hours ago. I'm like, yeah, but, Lindor has sort of surpassed Pete Alonso in a way and somewhat of becoming the face of the Yankees a little bit, or like the locker room leader. And she's like, nah, those two were never really in the face. I mean, like I said, I'm not a Met fan, but to me, it was Piazza. From Piazza went to David Wright, and then maybe it kind of went to Pete until Lindor got there. I don't know, but obviously, when these guys take the field, you know who the star is, and it's Soto. And Soto undoubtedly is going to be the face of this team now. That wasn't going to happen in New York. It was still going to be Judge for at least another couple of years. So, but I think that's what put that over the top was the vision of what Cohen can give him, and Cohen can turn this man into a billionaire. Three ways: the casino, maybe make him part owner at the end of the contract when Soto's ready to hang it up. I mean, he's going to be 41 years old, you know. And the third way is that Cohen's a hedge fund guy. Maybe he'll, watch his money and make his money grow for him. But that is not something that the other team's going to give him. And I think forward thinking, that's what did it for him. So that's just my opinion. I mean, that's just the other thing I just want to throw out there about this. But again, this now needs to be motivation for the Yankees. And Cashman already said, we lost Soto. We have money to spend, obviously, but we're not going to spend like drunken sailors, which I understand. But you said you're going to be aggressive. Be fucking aggressive. So you couldn't get the number one guy. Okay, who are the next best people behind him? And go get them. Because you got work to do. And like I said, this does not guarantee that the Mets are going to go on this string and win like 5 championships in the next 15 years. Okay? There's been a lot of great players who've gotten big contracts, didn't win a damn thing. I'm not saying we will see the Mets more often in the playoffs, because I definitely think they're going to be a playoff contender. And I'm quite interested now to see these two powerhouses now of Dodgers and Mets now, because now the dynamic of their series when they play each other has drastically changed. Mets were always the underdogs going into those series. They might be on the even playing field, maybe, because listen, the Mets pitching is still not that great. So Mets to me still have some holes. So for us Yankee fans who say we need to win another championship before the fucking Mets do, I would say, listen, it's not a guarantee yet. Soto could be there for 15 years and not win another World Series. I'm going to be honest. I do believe the Mets will get at least 2 championships out of him. I don't know what years that's going to happen. Could it be in the first 5? We'll see. But I just think there's a chance. Now, the tandem of Soto and Lindor, to me, doesn't match the tandem of Judge and Soto. It doesn't. But listen, we could be surprised, and whoever the Yankees go out and get could possibly be a better tandem. We don't know. But the Yankees need to use this as motivation. Because now you've already sort of teased us like, okay, you guys got the fucking money. Now let's see you spend it. Give us a team that we want to go and spend our money on these tickets to go see these guys. This is the time now to really fire up, because the Mets are on fire. Their fan base is lit up while the Yankees are feeling deflated right now. Use this opportunity to tell your fans, listen, there's still reason to be optimistic, and we're going to put this team together that's going to take us back to the World Series and bring back a championship. And we're going to put a team together that, yeah, you know what? We're going to have multiple runs at that World Series. May not win every single one of them, but you know what? We're going to go to the World Series more often than not. You know, history tends to repeat itself. And we've seen a lot of cases where history is repeating itself with, one-term presidents, impeached presidents, COVID, influenza, all that stuff, being on the brink, which is not something to brag about, being on the brink, hopefully doesn't happen in World War III, all that kind of stuff. Slowly we're seeing history repeat itself. And can history repeat itself in the sports realm where the Yankees were really hot, and then there were years where they were horrible, and then they made that resurgence? Now we're going to the years that they haven't been so great. Now can we start to see the resurgence of the Yankees? But Cashman, Steinbrenners, use this as motivation to pump up your fan base. Pump them up. Don't let the opportunity. And, supposedly there's a bunch of decent pitchers out there, and some outfielders and infield guys. Get them, because you need somebody at first. You need somebody in the outfield, and we need some better pitching. And maybe one person to fill the void of Holmes. Like I said, I don't think Holmes is a great loss. I already have an idea of who they're going to use as a catcher. I really wish they could get Michael King back. I'm so upset we lost King. He was so good, especially before he got hurt. He was untouchable. I know Evaldi is out there, and it's funny. Evaldi sucked when he was with us, and all of a sudden he became this great pitcher when he went to the damn Red Sox, and I think he went down to Texas too. But I don't know if I want Evaldi back. But let's see what happens. But there's one thing you can't deny. The 2025 baseball season is going to be fucking exciting. Because we as Yankee fans, we're going to be curious what the hell is going on in Queens. And come on, you can't tell me, Yankee fans, you ain't going to be keeping an eye out on what's going on in that National League East. Because I know I am. And when the Mets and the Dodgers play, I'm going to be watching. When the Mets and Braves play, I'm going to be watching. And when the Phillies and the Mets play, I'm going to be watching. Because just like us with the Yankees, we need to slay the dragon of the Astros. The Mets need to slay the dragon of the Dodgers. The Mets need to slay that dragon of the Braves. More so the Dodgers. So it's a very exciting time. The one thing that disappoints about this whole thing is that my dear grandmother is not here to see this, because she was the only Met fan in the family. And I can tell you right now, she would have been throwing it in our faces that the Yankees lost Soto. She would have been like, it's ridiculous money for sure. And actually, the year that the Mets went to the World Series, she passed away. She passed away in February of that year. She passed away the Sunday after the Super Bowl of 2015. And she couldn't she couldn't see that her Mets made it to the World Series that year. They didn't win, but she didn't get to see that. So that's what's a little disappointing, is that it would have been nice to sit there and watch some of these baseball games with her, because she's a Met fan. I'm quite sure she would be very excited right now. But that's all I got for the Juan Soto. I'm going to be posting a couple more videos because a lot of things that's happening. Like I said, this podcast is going to cover a wide range of things: sports, politics, pop culture, just whatever's in the news that's interesting, and just to give, my opinion. That's why it's called Bro Man with an Opinion, because I'm just giving my opinion. So thanks for listening to this episode, and please click and subscribe, and please throw your comments. I definitely want to know what you guys think about this.